This is Bob Barr with Liberty Guard, bringing you another edition, the latest edition of Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. The law of the universe that we're looking at today is number 38. Now, 38 concerns government surveillance, something that we're all, unfortunately, very familiar with these days. Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, law number 38, provides that government surveillance is like barbecue smoke. No matter where you go to avoid it, it will always find you and follow you. And thus it is with government surveillance. Government surveillance, we've been very familiar with it for many, many years. It increased dramatically, of course, after the terrorist attacks of 9/11 with the Patriot Act and expansion of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and violations of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and on and on. Well, the trouble on Capitol Hill back on January 6th of 2021, the so-called insurrection that the left likes to describe it as, has given rise to a massive new government effort to surveil American citizens and others, as a matter of fact, to collect massive amounts of information and database it. Interestingly, though, the government is not content to spend our taxpayer dollars, the huge amounts that we already spend for these agencies, the FBI, the NSA, the IRS, all of these federal agencies that collect data, collect information, and database it. The FBI in particular, of course, has been involved in surveillance of Americans for decades. The interesting thing, though, now is despite the huge number of federal agents, despite the massive technology available to the government to surveil and to collect and database information on Americans, despite the billions upon billions of dollars that the government spends and continues to spend on surveillance and gathering and databasing information on us, they now have decided that they need help. So the federal government, the Justice Department, which has a multi-billion-dollar budget, has decided it's just not enough. They need outside help. So what the Justice Department has decided to do specifically to assist the federal government in the prosecutions arising out of the January 6, 2021 Capitol Hill problems is they are paying millions of dollars, could be up to $1 billion eventually, to an outside private technology contractor to help gather all of this data and manipulate it and database it. What's very interesting, of course, about having the government contract with an outside entity to do this is it makes it easier for the government to get around certain federal laws, like the federal government's Privacy Act. If they use an outside contractor to gather and database all of that information, that surveillance information, then that outside contractor's information, even though it's being paid for by federal taxpayers, is protected against disclosure by, for example, the Privacy Act. Now, one could say, well, I'm sure that's not the reason the government is using this outside contractor, but we know that it is. So, according to these articles, the government is saying these contracts for outside companies to surveil and gather and database all of this information will grow, as we know it will, and the broader government program, for example, according to some of these articles, reaches well beyond $1 billion. So Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, law number 38, that Government surveillance is like barbecue smoke. No matter where or how you go to avoid it, it always finds you. The federal government's surveillance, particularly in the wake of and using the excuse of the January 6th trouble on Capitol Hill to gather even more surveillance information on Americans, now has become so burdensome to it that it has to go to outside contractors and pay them millions upon millions of dollars to do this. And we know, of course, that one of the reasons they do that is to protect it from prying eyes of American citizens who are being surveilled. It's really outrageous, but it is a perfect example of this particular Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, for which we appreciate your being with us today and look forward to having you with us next time when Liberty Guard presents another Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. Until then, take care. We'll see you soon. This is Bob Barr, and I'd like to thank you for having checked out our program here today. We appreciate your support, your participation, and encourage you to go to libertyguard.org to learn more about our programs and also to help support to further individual freedom and fight against government abuse. One of the ways, but not the only way we do this, is through Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, but through many, many other programs in support of individual liberty and against government abuse. So please remember to join us. Go to libertyguard.org and join us once again for Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. Thank you.